now we move into the field of IT, and we have Mr. Ajeya Motaganahalli, who's our next speaker. He is the Vice President, Engineering and Managing Director, R&D India, Pure Storage. Ajeya is Vice President, Engineering and Managing Director, India, R&D at Pure Storage. In this role, Ajeya leads the FlashBlade engineering teams across the globe in addition to leading the company's R&D capabilities in India. Ajeya is a well-regarded leader in the India engineering community with deep expertise in enterprise storage and has served in leadership roles at several other multinational technology companies. Previously, Ajeya has held technology and leadership positions at Apple, NetApp, and EMC. Passionate about deep tech, building and startups, Ajeya set up and led a global startup accelerator program. Ajeya is an alumnus of UC Berkeley, has School of Business, a degree in General Management, and holds an engineering degree from Bangalore University. Mr. Ajeya, over to you.
Okay, so Rupa, thanks for the great introduction, and sorry it was a little bit long, and I'm going to reduce my talk by a few minutes to make up for that lost time. Thanks for having me here. It's a privilege to be here in Airaa, a school where my daughter studies, and I've always had deep respect for this form of education, a Montessori and a structured education together. You know, in my line of work, I have seen a lot of kids who kind of graduate from different engineering schools worldwide. I've always thought that India doesn't have the right engineering schools because maybe now things are changing. When I was studying, it was basically your own subject, and you don't focus a little bit on humanities. I saw some people from liberal arts today. It's great to see them. Airaa is an attempt to actually combine some of this together, which is really great. So that's great to be a part of. So today I'm here to, on the invite of Prashant and Amita, to talk a little bit about engineering per se, and also to basically get you all excited about technology and engineering, right? I think this is what I'm going to do. This is what I've done in my life for the last 20 years. And I'm going to share some of my experiences. And there are certain aspects of engineering that Prashant had asked me to touch upon, which I have done. So let's start off talking about that. But before that, for the students here, any shout outs on what is your aspiration in life? Like, what would you like to do? Don't talk about what you want to become, but what do you want to feel like in your career? What do you guys want to be? Like rich, happy, like famous, right? Like what else? It's not a crime to be rich. It's a good aspiration to have in life. In fact, that's an aspiration that every one of you should have in life. You should have all three. Okay. So if we can move the slides, I don't know who has the trigger on the slides. Oh, they'll be moving. Okay. So we all want to be successful, right? So this is what we want to be, right? And I often joke about this. Oh, thanks, Prashant. I often joke about this at home, that in your career there are two paths that you can choose. One is a hard path, and one is an easy path, right? The easy path, in my view, and it's really a joke, by the way, the easy path, in my view, is to do engineering and computer science. You'll be taken care of for the rest of your life. The hard path is everything else. So that was a joke that I did, but it's not, I'm only partially joking because I do go to campuses to recruit engineers. I've been doing it for several years in different parts of the world, including here in Bangalore, and I do see why I'm saying that, right? So let's dive into some of these things right away. Okay, math and science, right? The stage at which you are, right, 8th, 9th, 10th, this is really the time to fall in love with these subjects if you want to have that easy path, right? If you don't fall in love with these subjects, master it, understand it, do great at it, that easy path is not for you. Then there is a hard path that you got to take. So let's talk a little bit about where this leads us, right? So Prashant asked me to touch on some of these topics. I think one is artificial intelligence and artificial general intelligence. That's AGI. There's robotics. I heard there's a mechanical engineer here. Robotics is really artificial intelligence applied on top of mechanical engineering to make things possible that we never thought would be possible. You all saw the landing of the rocket that SpaceX achieved, right? So the booster rocket disentangles itself from the spaceship and comes back and gets caught by two chopsticks. So that's the peak of robotics for you. Then you have material sciences. This is somewhat related to what I do every day. So what I do is we build storage devices. So all of you have USB sticks. We don't do that. But we build large storage devices, right? The one on which companies like Facebook run on, basically, right? Things of that size. And what we've done is, with a device that is the size of a cell phone, that could hold 1 terabyte of data, today can hold 150 terabytes of data. So we have used materials in a very efficient way by researching and building new materials that can make the density of storage that much higher. It's a technology called semiconductor technology. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. And then, of course, there is biotech. Biotech is generally where biology was there, peacefully, but engineers entered that field and made it extremely competitive, fast, and all of the good things that comes with biology, right? So biotech is biology on steroids, basically. That's what biotech is, right? Yeah, and it also has steroids, but engineers didn't do that. They just made it fast. All right, so let's go to AI and AGI, right? So here you have AI, right? So majority of us, including me, we use AI, right? We use it every day, right? You do a lot. You do some typing on ChatGPT. Yeah, all of those things happen. What do? I write some code. I use something called as the GitHub Copilot, which generates a lot of code for me, what Prashant was alluding to a while back, that you can be twice as productive. And then, yeah, that's not a bad place to be in, but over time, you need less of you to do the same job because there's somebody else doing that job. It's to a level today where till GitHub generates some amount of code, you really don't want to start typing because you're lazy. It's like somebody asks you to write an essay. It's super boring, right? I mean, who's going to start writing from scratch? It's kind of boring. What if somebody gave you a draft and said, hey, why don't you write on top of this? Super interesting. That's what the journalists do, by the way. They get a draft and then they start modifying it, right? So it's something like that. Well, these I would classify as users of AI. There's not going to be much money left in it after a while. Future belongs to the creators. New models are being developed. What are these models? These models are brain kind of things, right? You build a brain. It's like you're teaching a kid what to do. You're teaching the model what to do. So when you present a new situation to the model that it has not seen before, it decides what to do at that point in time. So you're building that. That is artificial intelligence. There are talks of AI singularity when the model can think better than you can. We are ways away from reaching it. There are some theories that says we are 6 years away, but I don't know. I think Prashant will know because constantly companies are pitching to him about singularity and AI and AGI. But this is where we need to be in. Who are the guys who build these models? These are mathematicians who understand weights, who understand the theory of probability. Who are these mathematicians? These are advanced engineers. These are the guys who build it all, right? So that is what it is. And then there's a whole lot of infrastructure behind this AI that runs it, right? Like, for example, a lot of us use WhatsApp. Have you ever wondered why it doesn't ever fail? Like, your message always reaches the recipient. If you're using Facebook and you want to retrieve an old photograph, it actually comes to you in seconds. How does that happen? There is a billion people who are hitting the Facebook server every day, and it's still working like a charm. That is engineering at its finest best. There is a paper that a smart engineer called Peter Wagel has written that says finding a needle in a haystack. So he has defined systems data path in a way in which you can access any photograph anywhere in the world in Facebook as long as it has been uploaded there at some point in time. So that is engineering at its finest. I didn't know about it till a few years ago. So this engineer happens to work for me in the US, and he just pointed me to that as part of his introduction, and I was blown away by that, right? So you guys have a chance to be that engineer who has that kind of a resume. When somebody asks him, hey, what did you do? Just Google my name. Just find out this is the paper that I wrote. That's his passport to the whole world. Okay, robotics, right? So let's talk about that a little bit. Yeah, so how does it start? We invented robotics because we didn't want to do repetitive tasks, right? It's a different thing that Elon Musk is building robots to clean your house and stuff like that. That's the extreme end of it. But then there's also things that you do that you don't want to do, right? Like filing taxes, or doing some mundane tasks, checking for fidelity of your cell phone, like building up small machines that test that. Your robot can also be a software that actually does robotic process automation, right? So that replaces, like a physical worker is replaced by a robotic worker. Like somebody who receives phone calls gets replaced by a robot, a software robot, right? So that's robotics. And then there is robots, which is like, there is this 2 videos, I don't know how to play them, but last 2 to 3 times I've been to San Francisco, I purposely traveled through this car called Waymo. This is a Google invention. This really is a robotic car. There is no driver. There's nobody in the driver's seat. But it'll take you from point A to point B on its own. It's just the most awesome thing that I've ever seen. And I think this is going to replace drivers. Oh, they can? Okay. Okay. Yeah, there's no copyright on it because I made these videos. It's pretty bad quality, but I made them.
You can just click on the image. Huh? The PDF, you can just come out and. Is it a PDF? It's a PPT, right?
It's a PPT.
It's a PPT.
Somebody has to double click on that.
Just double click on the image.
Or maybe we can do it in the end after.
Okay, we'll do it later. Just get back to the presentation. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I don't have a chain of thought, so that's okay. That's why I have slides. Okay. So that's all about robotics, and finally, okay, last but one, materials.
Ajeya, sorry. Here maybe you can address that intersection of automobile engineering, mechanical engineering, and robotics and EV, and where EV is a big future area, and EV is an intersection of robotics and material science.
No, absolutely. So I do have a little bit on EV here,
okay,
so
great.
I'll come to that.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks. All right, so semiconductors. Have you guys heard about semiconductors? You have. What is it? Anybody? What is a semiconductor? You see that in newspapers all the time, right?
I think she knows. Who knows here? Semiconductors.
Yeah, great. What is it?
Are they like the chips in your mobile phone which acts like a brain of the phone?
Yes, it is the material using which the chip is made, but you're absolutely right. Okay, so there are conductors and insulators, right? So there are conductors where it conducts electricity and you touch it when it's live, you die, and then there is insulators that you use to touch it and you don't die, right? This is in between. So this is between a conductor and a insulator. It's called semiconductor. What does this do? On application of enough voltage, it becomes a conductor. You take away that voltage, it becomes an insulator. That's what a semiconductor is. Why is this used? Why is this so important? What is used for semiconductors? Sometime before we had, most of the semiconductors today is based on silicon crystals, okay? That's why you have California being called the Silicon Valley, India, Bangalore is called the Silicon Valley of India and all of that. But it's basically because silicon is the most predominant semiconductor material. Of course, there are metallic oxides that are used for semiconductors. What these do is in your phone, in your laptop, you store data, right? So you have 128 GB storage, right? Like, now we're 512, then 1 terabyte, actually. All of this data is being stored on a tiny medium, right, called NAND. NAND flash is what it is called. It's what my company makes. This is semiconductor. In a very small surface area, you can store a whole lot of data. This one, basically 1 bit of data is equal to 1 cell in that semiconductor. It comes up when you switch on your phone. So basically you apply voltage, it comes up, and then your data becomes available to you. Switch it off, it goes back, and it stays alive in that medium. It holds that medium, right? So that's what semiconductor is. It's used for CPUs, it's used for GPUs, NAND flash, and memory. Battery tech, man, I love these electric cars, actually. So there's like new materials being discovered, but then the most prominent one is the lithium-ion batteries, right? So there are so many of these that are going around these days. People are having great innovations based on that. The beauty of that is the people who create that have programmed it in such a way that they have control over what you do. Like you go to Ola scooters and you actually buy a scooter, they actually know what you're doing with that battery. They'll tell you that, hey, don't let it run, let the charge go to 0 because the warranty goes away. That's because they know it's going down to 0. So they're able to pinpoint what you're doing with it, right? So that's just amazing technology, right? So Aethers of the world. So there are companies that are being built. Elon Musk started it with Tesla in a big way because he wanted to prove that this technology can be used for cutting-edge experience for people, for cutting-edge automotive experiences. Recently, when I was driving a Tesla in Bay Area, they have something called as full-service drive. It's basically like a robotic car, but you need to sit in the seat. That's the only requirement it has, right? So it's completely powered by AI because it uses the existing sonar and radar technology that's available in the car. It uses battery technology to actually power that, and it's the height of automation. So that is all thanks to the convergence of AI, robotics, and battery technology. There are new explorations, ceramics and glass, to store data. So people are thinking, okay, what after silicon? Can we do something more, something better? Ceramics and glass are the two frontiers that people are kind of exploring to store data on. Finally, biotech, before I actually open for questions, and by the way, you can stop me in between and ask me questions. Biotech is a place where engineers entered biology and basically did a lot with it, actually. I think the purists will not like some of what I speak, but this is what happened. There's molecular biology, then there is clinical and medical diagnostics. About 8 years ago, a company came and met me when I was running a startup program, and they were starting out. I think it's Sictuple, you may know the company. Yeah. So we incubated them at my company for some time. And what they did is, you go and give your blood sample for testing, right? Then there's a lab. Somebody takes that blood sample and they'll tell you, come after 8 hours, I'll tell you the readings. What happens is a lot of that is putting a slide with the blood sample under the microscope and actually reading what is in that blood sample and telling what it does. So these guys figured out, if that's all we need to do, you can take that blood sample, put it on a slide, take a picture of that, a high definition picture of that, send it to your algorithms in the cloud, AI algorithms in the cloud, which will tell you the same result, just that it'll be even more accurate because your AI doesn't get tired, right? So a lot of that. So biotech is being influenced by technologies like that. And there's a lot more. I actually moved on from there, but I'm sure it's actually reached into DNA sequencing and stuff like that now. So that's different. Then there's genetic engineering, right? So I am personally extremely fond of this technology. It's called recombinant DNA technology. So what it does is it takes your DNA and combines something else with that DNA. and makes you really strong, right? Like makes you immune to certain set of diseases. It's not been used on humans so far. We've used it on cotton, right? BT cotton was the first thing to come out with that. We're using it on mice right now to see if they can actually have something like that. So these are like just genetic engineering. Again, a lot of AI, a lot of technology, right? So with that, I just want to kind of end. These are like courses of interest that you could pursue, right? I would kind of, stay somewhere here, right? So this is like a broad-based foundational course that can lead you to all of the other courses. None of the other courses leads you to that. So you got to be a little more broad-based and then narrow in on whatever you want to do. Yeah, I mean, sky's the limit. I think the amount of money you can make, the fame you can get, where you can reach in your life is something different, right? So with that, I want to close and open it for questions. So Prashant.
Yeah, so maybe this is an area that is also pretty complex, but if you look at it, Ajay, like there's three streams largely I see. One is computer science and data sciences, That's one stream that you can look at.
Yeah.
Then you can look at, biotech, which at some level today there are, in most biotech programs, you also have the option to take a minor in computer science. So you don't necessarily have to, so you can still be in biotech and you can do a minor in computer science.
Yeah.
And the third area, which like you said, is a little bit more deeper on the material sciences and electronics and semiconductors and that area, right?
True.
So there are broadly three pillars that you can choose. And so I just wanted to kind of simplify and say either you can get into biotech, bioengineering, you can get into data sciences and computer sciences, or you can get into material sciences and electronics engineering. So these are three, and
great point.
So the electrical, I mean, say the whole semiconductor area looks like it's come back in vogue, right? There were a few, maybe a decade or two where it was not so popular, but with
some of this is like cyclical, right? Like I remember in '99, one of the most sought after courses was telecommunications. 10 years after that, nobody touched it, right? But then I think it's kind of coming back,
right? So there's also a lot of flexibility coming up in engineering programs even in India today. So you can join a particular stream, and there are electives you can take. And you can kind of do almost like a dual degree. And most colleges are starting to offer that. So you have colleges like Plaksha, where you can actually choose after your first 2 years what is your stream, just like in the US. So I just wanted to kind of leave that in mind. That it's one of the most flexible pathways engineering has turned out to be today.
Yeah. No, to double down on what Prashant says, I think getting that dual degree is a blessing, actually. I started off by saying that, right? Like I've seen engineers in India, I've seen them in the US, and I've seen them in Prague because I have a team there. I think the ones that are most successful have combined their engineering degrees with humanities. For example, MIT will not let you pass your engineering till you take one of the electives of humanity and pass it. So I have an engineer in my team in the US who's extremely successful because he took English as one of his electives, and the way in which he can defend his architecture, he always wins. I mean, there is no chance that anybody can compete with something like that.
Correct. And I think it's really valuable if I can have the folks come and address all of you in a similar gathering, because it's the first university in India that I know of which has gone for this open this 2-year open and then you choose. And the first year foundational, like you were saying, Ajeya, is you got to do a lot of, whether it's creative thinking, humanities, is something everybody has to go through, which is not there in your regular engineering program. So the good news is that there's a lot of advancements in how engineering education is progressing. So it gives you a lot more, options to think what you want to really do in engineering today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, but I think let's open up for questions. I think this, I'm sure, we'll have a lot of questions here.
There's a parent right at the back.
Yeah.
Actually.
You spoke about MIT and you mentioned about engineering with humanities.
Yeah.
I want to understand somebody, if they're doing humanities, is there a scope for adding on AI with humanities?
I think so. That's what
Yeah,
Prashant
I
was
think that's what I'm saying. So today AI is going to become almost like a substrate, future-proof for tomorrow, or be kind of ready for, whether it's law. You just heard Rupa talk about the legal profession. You heard Malini talk about humanities. You'll have now a talk on medicine. There is no future profession that's not going to be impacted by AI. So it's almost like, for some time, hopefully, in our generation, there'll be a duality here. There'll be the AI part of your world, and then there'll be your part of the world. AGI, which he was talking about, just for context, if it ever happens, which means that we will birth super intelligence. So when we birth super intelligence, then it's no longer about you or AI. AI can become the real thing, the real deal, right? But till then, I think for the next 10, 20 years, I don't think we have AGI, in my opinion. It'll take longer. So I think next 10, 15 years, AI is your if you're a doctor, then there is a doctor co-pilot for AI. If you're a lawyer, there's a legal co-pilot for you in AI. If you're a software engineer, whether it's the next advanced version of GitHub or in whatever form, there is an AI first software engineer who will help you. So every profession will have a co-worker along with you, just to make you more productive.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Want to pursue further in mathematics, but how it will be applied in, because you are engineering. So I tried answering, but I want to hear.
No, I think that
I'll
leave it to you.
Let me tell you. I think the entire AI models are based on that. I actually started off talking about that in terms of how the probability theory is used, the weights are used. In fact, when I started in my job in the US, I think some of my colleagues were MS statistics. So mathematics leads to statistics. So there are a lot of Laplace transforms that are based on that. So it's extremely pertinent. So being a physicist or a mathematician does not preclude from participating in engineering disciplines. I'm taking the word engineering in a more broader sense, but it's definitely it definitely has a great place in the world of AI, in the creators of AI.
Correct.
Actually.
So if you say AI is foundational, what is even more foundational is mathematics.
Yeah.
So there is no other field today that drives AI beyond mathematics. So every model, OpenAI and GPT that you have seen, 80% of the people working there, the PhDs in computer science, they'll actually, it'll say PhD in computer science, but if you go deeper, it is actually a mathematical PhD, because that's what really is where the cutting edge, the frontier is coming up in the next generation of mathematical models.
I don't see any difference between math and computer science. I think if you're great at math, you'll be great at computer science.
Yeah, I've been seeing those who used to do Fick and Crow, that quant trading algorithms used to develop.
Yeah.
They're actually maths PhDs.
Yeah.
So they were in investment bank with us. I didn't know what is the logic, but I think I'm 60% correct. I gave the answer. I wanted to make sure that my answer is slowly.
No, you're 100% correct.
No, 60.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So great. I think, Ajeya, thank you so much.
All right.
I think
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.